Uh-huh. Previously on Baby's Crib. The rat room?
Because I had this thing about rats. And I think the number 42 always comes to mind. I had 42 rats. Actually, it was my dream to live here.
Really?
Yeah, when I was,
Canada?
here's another story that my son detests.
We're sorry, Max, we're sorry.
I'm sorry, Max. He's like, if they do a movie on you, they should call it From Creatures to Pussy.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Oh, Danny and I had to.
How did you get into Playboy? I mean, going from shooting churches into Playboy. How did that happen?
I got a job working for I met my son's mother.
Okay. Baby mama?
My baby mom, one of my baby moms. We were living in Roswell. Mm-hmm. And
that's Georgia.
Yeah, Roswell, Georgia, just north of Atlanta. And we started dating. And then we started...
About how old were you?
27?
Okay.
26?
Okay.
Maybe younger.
Okay.
We were dating, and I was working in America illegally.
Illegally, yes.
Which I can say now because I'm...
Yeah, you're
But
here.
yeah, but then the company that I was working for went out of business, so I had to go home. Mm-hmm. So Lisa, my son's mother, and I moved back to Canada, to Nova Scotia.
Oh, back to cold Nova Scotia.
Back to cold Nova Scotia. Stayed there for a while. That got old. We decided to move back to Atlanta. She had a friend whose husband worked at a big fashion studio, so I got a job there as an assistant.
Cool.
Made my way into the world of fashion.
So you started with fashion then?
Started with fashion after the church thing.
After the church, fashion.
And
okay.
One day I was in a big mansion here shooting Bloomingdale's or something like that, and the owner came up and said, "Playboy shot here last week." And I was like, "Really? Do you have any Polaroids?" Like, so he started showing me the Polaroids.
Because that's what they had back then.
Back then,
Polaroids,
before digital,
yeah.
they had Polaroids, and I started looking through them. I was like, I can do this. So
and naked women.
And naked women, yeah.
Yeah.
So we left the shoot that day, me and my assistant, and I asked my assistant, "Can you give me the?" I knew my assistant had worked for Playboy assisting, so I was like, "Can you give me the?" Could you give me the name? Who's your contact with Playboy? And he's like, "I can't. I'm not going to give that to you." So we, on the way back to the studio, we ended up pulling into a Quick Trip. I was like, "Can you get me a Coke?" And this is back before cell phones. Coca-Cola. This is before cell phones.
Right.
And when we just had those big organizers that we carry our world in.
Yeah.
So as soon as he went into the store, I grabbed his organizer and went,
You did not.
Playboy.
That's fucking awesome.
He came out and was like,
Sneaky.
"Thanks." Next day I called the contact, got an interview with her.
And just said, "Hey, I'm a fashion photographer. Can I meet with you?"
Yeah, can I meet with you?
Then go, "How did you get my
Cynthia
number?"
K.
None of that shit. It was Cynthia
No,
K.
Cynthia
She's a
K.
Playboy scout that actually founded me, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah.
And she's not gonna. Cynthia's not gonna be like, "How did you get my number?"
No. Okay.
She'd be like, "Of course you got my number. I'm famous."
Cynthia K is a Playboy model who also became a scout, and we can go into that in a bit. But that's really cool. So you called Cynthia K. It was her.
She's a scout, producer. She became a producer. I met her at a restaurant here in Atlanta, and walked in, very naive, and she had all the Playboy magazines spread out over at Murphy's.
And
restaurant.
They were like working? It was open for business, or it was like...
Yeah, no, it was open for business, and I'm like
crazy.
going... And she's, Cynthia, she's like... Oh.
Yeah, she's just welcome to my world. Yes.
Anyway, I showed her my book, which was nothing special. Like, I think back to it, and I'm like, to me, it looked like a college boy's. But anyway, she sent my book to Chicago, and about 2 weeks later, I got a call from Jeff Cohen.
Because that's where their main office was, right? Chicago,
yeah.
Playboy at the time. They had one in LA as well.
One in LA, one in Chicago. The original mansion Was Chicago.
Was it? I thought it was L.A. So it
No,
was, okay.
It was the original
I
one
thought
was
the
in
club
Chicago.
was Chicago. Cool.
Yeah,
right?
he had, yeah.
Nice.
And yeah, so
That's really cool. Now that's how you and I met, actually, is through Playboy.
Baby was one of the, like probably my first year work for Playboy.
Are you serious? That's really fucking cool. So my experience with that, if I can tell a little story, is that Playboy came to scout models in Atlanta for the Olympics, which was in, I think, '96 when they were having the Atlanta Olympics. Cynthia K was a scout, and they had us come to some really fabulous hotel where they took the Polaroids of all the different beautiful women that came. And then they decided from that small pool to shoot what they were calling the Girls of Atlanta. So they flew us out to LA, which is like, I think 9 or 10 girls. Had the photo shoot, Kevin Custer was there, all this stuff. It was really, really cool. The pictures were gonna come out in the magazine for the Girls of Atlanta again. And I went and I got the magazine and my pictures weren't in there. And I was like, where are they? And then later I got a call. She's like, we want to audition you or have you possibly be a playmate. So they couldn't put you in that magazine.
Oh yeah. They had plans for you.
Yeah, so, and then I thought about it. When you shoot for Playboy, and you know this, like you're tied into them. Like at least for being a playmate, like you have to do videos for them, which are kind of like soft porn in a way. They're, you know, like everything, basically Playboy has their mark on you. You can't do much else, like all the parties and things. So I wanted to be more free. So I decided not to, and then that's when we started shooting together, which were like the newsstand copies.
Newsstand, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, people talk, the Playmates, they talk about how much money they made. It's like, oh wow.
Yeah.
But it's not when you think about
No.
it, because I think it was like 25,000?
I can't even remember the number.
Basically,
they threw at
you're
me, but
tied
you're
into
tied into
it.
them. Yeah, like everything
You've got
you do is
all the
them.
things you have to do that it's really,
Yeah,
when you look at it, was not
not that much.
much.
And the women are beautiful and they're gorgeous, you know. And as a child, I can remember wanting to be a Playboy model, but then like you are signed in with them, like everything. It's like
Yeah.
your stamp is on it.
There we are.
And then you go to me. Remember how you used to shoot like 3 different like scenarios with like 3 different looks? I was in like a cop outfit for one thing.
Yeah, we did you
I had a guitar in one image.
guitar.
And it was some famous musician's like guitar, which is really cool. Can't remember his name right now.
Did we have you on a motorcycle?
A lingerie, yes. Well, that was a cop look.
That was a couple
She straightened my
of
hair, and I was like on a bicycle. Am I arresting somebody? What am
Well,
I
yeah,
doing?
that I do have here. That Polaroid journal.
See, this is so cool. It's like I'm the police officer. See?
There we go. Police officer.
Yeah.
There was the 3 looks.
Yeah,
Guitar
Guitar.
in like a cage,
yeah.
and
Lingerie. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing there. Just sitting.
that was my
So
assistant
cool.
standing in for
I
you.
don't remember him at all.
That was great.
This is a great day. It was so cool. It's kind of neat, right? 90s.
February the 10th, 1997.
And that quote that you read before that's Deepak Chopra.
Deepak Chopra.
Chopra, yeah, which I love him, by the way. Deepak Chopra. Cool. Ah, memories.
Yeah.
did, like,
Lingerie,
laundry, just, like,
motorcycle.
install-
And we
yeah.
shot that
And guitar.
at a club downtown
Esso.
called Esso.
Yeah, Esso. We used to take prints there. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we were at Club Esso. I remember being up here in this caged area and nicking my knee.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it kind of started bleeding, and Cynthia was like, oh.
It's funny, it's 25 rolls of Kodachrome 64.
That's
81A, that's I put an 81A filter on, 50 ASA,
no.
6 clips. That's funny, I remember that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All the notes.
Your F number was 1034.
So we did 3 different hairstyles too, like the curly, color curly, and then like the straight, and then like the big. For
Yeah.
3 looks.
And this would have been
3
my
looks.
assistant. Well, Baby was out getting makeup. He would stand in.
That's so funny.
So I could do the lighting test on him.
It looks just like me.
Exactly. Oh, so I've got boxes and boxes full of behind the scenes of Playboy magazine that I wanted to do a book of, maybe a show. The only problem is who owns the rights to these?
Right.
Especially the girls in the pictures wrote or signed over model releases to Playboy. So I came up with the
They own
idea
you.
to make them into pieces of artwork and cover the girls' faces, so we wouldn't need model releases.
I think that's ingenious, don't you? Cover their faces because it's awesome. You still use
And
it.
what I found funny, so I posted something like this, and my friend, actually the friend that does a lot of the artwork with me,
Right.
he was like, why are you always, he noticed
Crucifix.
and then I posted something I did, a piece of artwork I did when I was like 14 with a crucifix. And he's like, do you realize you've been doing, you're not a religious person, do you realize you've been doing, putting religious connotations
You have been.
in your artwork since you were little?
You started out shooting in churches, and then you went to Playboy, so you're just incorporating all that in there.
Yeah.
I love
But
it.
I think it's also Renaissance art.
It is.
We
It is
were
that.
talking about this.
Yeah, we did in the podcast.
We talked about this, yeah.
It is. It's very much that.
Renaissance
love
art,
Heart.
there's always, you know, there's a lot of religious connotations and nudity.
Yeah, there is. So
Yeah.
cheers to that.
Cheers to that. Where is Baby? Baby? You're not in that corner. No. Nobody puts Baby in a corner.
Hey, big boy or girl, don't bat the bunny. I need you to follow me, like, and leave me a comment. And follow.
So did you ever shoot Playmates or just the newsstand copies?
No, I never shot Playmates,
Okay.
but I ended up getting promoted into, I was one of the 5 photographers in the world that was in the masthead of the
That's
regular
amazing.
Playboy magazine. So I started doing newsstand specials,
Nice.
or the flats, whatever you want to call them, and then moved up to the regular magazine.
And then to the
Well, I was doing a lot of some celebrity stuff, and then but a lot of girls like Girls of Spring Break,
Right. Right.
you know, the college girl stuff,
All that.
Girls of anything that would have the stamp of Girls of
Yes.
was usually I was involved with.
David Rams.
And that's what I enjoyed doing. I got offered to go up and start to shoot Playmates, and I wasn't really interested in it.
Tell me why. Was it because what we just said, like they kind of like?
No,
Oh.
to shoot a Playmate, the centerfolds, it was very,
I remember the shoots being stiff.
it was very,
Like you had to be
it was
really
very
fucking
stiff.
still.
It was like,
the hair light, everything like just.
it was
like
a lot
this.
of lights. It was almost
Yeah.
like shooting still life.
Yeah, you didn't
It
get
took
to move
many
a lot.
days. There wasn't, my style is more shooting from the hip,
Yeah.
as you know.
Yeah, definitely.
And I just couldn't see myself doing, you know, being locked in a studio
Yeah.
with a 4x5, back then it was 4x5 camera. I just couldn't see myself doing that.
Like boring, more like an office job.
Yeah, and also I had at that time it would have meant moving to Chicago. I had my son, I didn't want to live far from him.
Sure. Sure.
So I wonder sometimes what would have happened if I had taken that job.
Well, how long did you shoot with Playboy? Because I mean, you really are
17.
known for that in the beginning of your career.
Yeah,
You've done
17
so
years.
much, like so much. But 17
Yeah,
years,
yeah.
that's a long time. And really, you're like a rock star to me. In so many ways, you are. So maybe that's what Cynthia Kidd kind of saw. She's like, he's a rock star and a photographer.
Well, that's what I did. I did an article for either it was the Sun or the Star, the Toronto Sun or the Toronto Star, and they called and interviewed my parents, and they also called and interviewed Kevin Custer.
Oh, wow.
And that's one of the things Kevin Custer said was, yeah, my work was good, but he thought that I personified that I had that cool look
For sure.
that he thought would
Definitely.
work well with Playboy.
Oh, it did. I remember
So.
feeling that way when I shot with you. Like, because you know, you have a little bit of a distance. At least you do 3 different looks, and we had a bit of a distance between us, like when we're shooting. Not a lot, but a little bit depending. And I'm like, this beautiful man with your hair, it was so long. Remember this? Am I embarrassing you?
No.
Like, you're so
My
gorgeous.
perception is so different than
Really?
people, because people I've shot, like you,
Right.
or I've had people be like, yeah, you were kind of arrogant
Oh, I
and
didn't
didn't
think
talk
that.
much. And I was like, no, I was really shy.
Yeah.
So I was still shy.
You're beautiful. though.
I was very, people sometimes perceive my shyness as being, oh, I'm too good, or
I
like,
never
no,
felt that way.
I was kind of shy and quiet.
That's really.
Unless
that's
I was
cute.
taking the pictures.
Right.
So I have people who said, yeah, you didn't really talk to me. And I'm like, "Because I'm probably, oh my God, this beautiful girl. And I probably was thinking the same thing about you.
Aw. So out of all those years that you shot with Playboy, did you ever date some of these models? Fall in love with any of them? Have any connections? Yeah, probably more listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you
Did
work
that
with-
happen often? Yes. think that's a fucking yes, Babel.
I had.
Yeah.
I mean, I dated some of the.
Sure.
I mean, it's like sometimes at work you date someone from the office.
I know. I get it.
My office was in
Yeah.
front of my camera.
Sure. And then you have like that energy with someone, I think, that you're working with, and it's an intimate setting. So you're pulling out this, like, you're seeing parts of their soul in a way, and it can kind of feel like a love relationship when you're connecting.
Well, it can
that
be
way.
kind of, because I had situations where when I'd be shooting someone, they're the prettiest woman you've ever seen.
Right.
And sometimes I found you give them all that attention.
Yes.
And sometimes
It's a lot of love that you're trying to lift them up.
Yeah, and sometimes they confuse that with,
Misperceive it.
they'd call me a few days later and be like, oh my God, I feel the same way about you. And I'd be like,
The fuck are you
what
talking
are you talking about? Because well, you obviously have, and I'd be like, you're really beautiful, but no.
These poor girls, you broke their hearts.
One girl, oh yeah.
Tell it, come
Oh,
on.
no, one girl
Come on.
was talking. She called me. She called me. And she was like, "I'm thinking of leave my husband." I'm like, "Why?" She goes, "Because I feel like and this is someone I didn't really talk to a lot.
You just mystified her.
Well, I shot her.
The hocus pocus on her
And
with the
I
photography,
know we
David.
went from one location
Played
to
the
another.
Bowie music in the background, and it was Let's
back
Dance.
then, back then it would have been more Prince.
Okay, that's right.
Boy was just for myself.
Okay.
But yeah, that's.
Did she stalk you? Did anything weird happen besides like the phone call?
Yeah.
You don't have to tell it, but it's interesting. You don't have to say the name. Like,
Yeah.
okay, that's a good question. And like, what is like the weirdest thing in a bad scenario that's ever happened? And maybe the story might be a different one, but like, that
No,
sounds like it got kind of creepy.
It got a little creepy. It got.
Do you have to like call
I was
police?
shooting in a. No, I was shooting in a state. Shooting in America. I don't even want to give the.
Don't give a fucking state.
I was
I don't
shooting
hurt
somewhere.
anybody's feelings.
Yeah, no, 'cause she still is out there.
You don't want to
Yeah,
show up when your front
she was
door.
still married,
Oh my goodness.
and she told her husband she was going somewhere, and she drove. She had heard me on the radio. She found out I was in
Whatever
in her,
state.
that I was in her state,
Oh my god.
and she drove. I think like 4 hours, and it was about 5 o'clock in the morning, and my phone rings in my hotel room, and I pick it up, and I'm half asleep.
She found out you were staying
She
at
found-
whatever
yeah,
hotel.
She found out where I was staying.
Stalker, for sure.
And I picked the phone. They're like, "Hey, Mr. Friends, what room are you staying in?" or something like that. And I was like, 175. And I forget what she said, but I hung up the phone thinking, hold on a second. If you were the front desk, you'd know what room I'm staying.
Wow.
So she had called in and said, just say, "Can I speak to David Ramsey, please?"
Wow.
And they had put her through. Then
That was back before they would actually go, we can't, we need to know.
yeah,
the number.
and a few minutes later, so I'm like, oh my God, what's about that? Who is this? So yeah, a few minutes later, there was knock on my door, and I opened it up, and it was her, and I was like,
Fuck.
"What are you doing here?" And
What did she say? Was she like, I'm here to get married? Picked
yeah, no,
out the ring?
I let her in, and I was like,
You
can't-
let her in?
Yeah, no, I let her in. I'm
Oh
a
my
nice guy.
God.
I let her in, and I was like, "You can't stay." I was like, "I can go have a coffee with you,"
Right.
but it's like, "You got to turn around and go back home. What about your husband?" And I'm like, "If my crew sees you here," because Cynthia was on that shoot.
Ah.
And Cynthia knew her from Atlanta shoot, and she'd be
Right.
like,
What are you doing here?
"What? Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
So
So that's
she
one
was-
of the crazier stories.
yeah." And then I told my girlfriend about it, and that's how it ended. My girlfriend, who at the time was
She put her
she
foot
contacted her and
Oh,
said,
she did?
"Oh yeah," she was like, "If you,
down. Yeah.
ever, yeah."
You're gonna get a knuckle sandwich, amongst other things. Well, hopefully she doesn't bother you anymore. Did you know that the iconic blonde bombshell Marilyn Monroe was the very first model to ever appear on the cover of Playboy magazine? Did you also know that Marilyn didn't consent to the usage of those pictures? She shot those 4 years prior with a photographer by the name of Tom Kelly. He only paid her $50. Marilyn needed that money to make her car payment. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Just you and me. Just you and me. Get on low.
Playboy, playmate, play with me. Dress me up in diamond rings. Playboy, playmate, play with me. Paste me on the ceiling. Playboy, play with me. La 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 la. Loving in me. Pick me up, do my hair, red lipstick on, silky underwear. Mask my face with your funky drum. Playboy, play with me. Leather and lace, got my corset on. Spiky heels, play my favorite song. Do me right, no, never wrong. Play